May the gods keep the wolves in the hills and the women in our beds.
Hey! Is this heaven?
No. It's Iowa.
I don't want to scare anyone, but I'm going to give it to you straight about Jason.
Hello there, sexy monkeys. Welcome back to Sky G Experience. I'm Benjamin. Today is day 2 of 13 because this Friday, not this Friday, but May 13th is Friday the 13th. And we're not having another Friday the 13th until January next year, which means it's going to be a while. So I'm going all out for the next 13 days on Friday the 13th stuff. I still will be doing my trailer reactions tomorrow on Tuesdays and some other stuff. I got a top 10 I have ready to go for this Thursday. So I will be putting out content, but most of it for the next 12 days now will be Friday 13 stuff. And this one is Friday 13 Part 2 movie review. Part 2 came out 1 year after the original movie. They actually started filming 4 months after the original movie was in theaters. Well, let's put it this way, the first movie, with a budget of $500,000, grossed $40 million in the theaters. So they were very quick at, let's get this part 2 going. The timeline in this movie is, when it starts out, it is 2 months since the first movie happened. And then after the girl dies in the opening scene, it skips to 5 years later down the road. Up to this point, Jason was nothing but a dream sequence kid. He wasn't supposed to be real, but they had to go to a different direction. So Jason's alive, and he's a grown fucking man. And yes, this really it starts early, but his age timeline, it starts to just not make sense. But just throw out the window. The thing you need to know is Jason is alive and he's a grown ass fucking man, and he is out for revenge because his mom got decapitated by the camp counselors. Casting in this movie is just a hair bit under than the first movie. Well, really, the first one had Kevin Bacon. You don't really have that star in this movie, but overall, it's really a solid young blood casting. It's pretty solid. You have plenty of eye candies for both guys and girls. You have a very good eye candy chick. Wow. You have a funny dude. You have a clear person that's the leader of the group. So these characters are all counselors at a retreat for training counselors. Where these counselors are taking place on the lake, it is right next door to the events of the first movie. And that event, all that stuff is off limits to everybody. And it's called Camp Blood. So these counselors are right next to it. Essentially, they just a hop, skip, and a jump from the place of the first movie. Betsy Palmer, that plays Mrs. Voorhees, even though she got her head taken off the first movie, she still comes back and does a small, I would say, not a cameo, but it's something where Jason does like it's in his mind. It's near the end of the movie, but she does a scene for this, and she's also came back to get her face molded so they can have that, you know, special effects of her head. I wonder where that head is right now. Most of the cast are all unknowns, and that's the theme throughout Friday 13 movies, where it's a lot of unknowns. Kevin Bacon was just a fucking lucky, because Footloose came after that. But with this movie, you have nothing but horn dogs. Everyone is horny for each other. Vicky and Mark, they just want to hump. Scott and Terry, they just flirt all the damn day. Ted wants to fuck the bartender. The bartender wants to fuck him. Paul and Jenny are just keeping that a secret. And Sandra and Jeff, well, I think they would fuck in front of you if you asked them to. Paul is way better leader than Steve in the first movie. Steve was a fucking prick in my opinion because when people first showed up, that Steve was like, "Hey, come here, do this, do this." But Paul, he's a lot cooler fucking dude, and he does that campfire speech in the movie. Wow, that fucking I think is one of the best. Is definitely one of the best in the horror franchise genre. It's a great speech.
Some folks claim they've even seen him right in this area. The girl who survived that night at Camp Blood, that Friday the 13th, she claims she saw him. She disappeared 2 months later. Vanished. Blood was everywhere. No one knows what happened to her.
Okay, so back to Jason. He's a grown ass man in this. What we see out of Jason is if you watch the 1976 movie The Town That Dreaded Sundown, that killer had a mask similar to this one, but in that one that had two eyes. This one you get one eye, and so in this first movie you get the first mask, and you're gonna obviously find out down the road he gets a hockey mask, but that's not till part three. This is also the first time you actually see his face. At the very end, when you get that classic Friday the 13th jump scare, at the very end, you see his fucking face, and you're, oh, nasty. So you get a lot of first for Jason, and even him, he's in the movie killing people for the first time. So this is his first movie. You did have two people that played Jason in this movie. You had one guy that did most of it, but when it came down to the stunts, it was, I mean, I wasn't there, but it was something to do with either he cannot do the stunts or he did not want to do the stunts. Whatever the truth is on either or, I don't know. But some guy came in and did the stunts. But, it's like a 70-30, 80-20, 90-10 split, but at least there's two people that did play Jason. Stan Winston was supposed to, and he was going to do the special effects for Tom Savini, but it was a scheduling conflicts that ended up making Stan Winston end up not doing it. He ended up falling out and it's like, sorry, I can't do this no more. But imagine if Stan Winston did special effects. That means the first two low budget Friday the 13th movies had Tom Savini and Stan Winston. That would have been fucking amazing. Okay, so the plot of the story is, like I said, the camp counselors are together on Camp Crystal Lake and they're learning how to be better camp counselors. And right next door to them is a place that, like I said, is off limits, fenced off, and you can't go there. And it's 5 years after the events of the first movie where 7 people got killed. So and essentially, throughout the movie, it's the first night. Half of the people go to town to get drunk, leaving the other half, back on the lake. And they all kind of split up because they want to go fuck and do drugs, which sounds amazing. And that, makes them vulnerable. So they're getting picked off one by one. And this is where you get some dope fucking kills. You got like 2 kills in this movie that could be in the top 10 in the franchise. Your humor, I love Steve Myers' humor. I'll give you an example. There's a scene where the dog Muffin was walking up to Jason, or at least it seemed like Jason, and then it cuts to someone grilling hot dogs on the grill. One of my favorite scenes in this franchise is when Terry does her skinny dipping scene. Oh, hmm. So near the end, one thing that I don't understand, and they referenced it in a documentary I watched, the ending where what the fuck happened to Paul? So it ends with Jason jumping out of the window at Jenny, and then it cuts to Jenny on a stretcher. So did Jason take Jenny, and then Paul ran after, and him and Jason went at it, and then Jenny just, I'm, yeah, I've been thinking about it, and it's really bugged me. I have no fucking idea. I don't know. Overall, though, it's a very classic Friday 13 movies. I really, really love the first 4 movies. If I would reboot this franchise, I would definitely do like the Halloween treatment they're doing right now, but do it after the 4 movies of Friday 13. I think that would be cool. But anyway, 6.5 out of 10 for a Sky Gene score. Great movie, entertaining. I can watch this any day on a Friday 13. And when it comes to Friday 13 marathon, I love part two. All right, Sexy Monkeys, I am out of here. Moving on to part three. We'll get that done. So it's out for day 3 tomorrow. All right, Sexy Monkeys. Remember, if you go to jail, don't drop the soap.